Okay, I think we are live. Cool. Yes, as a confirmation, we are live. Hello. I would like to begin this talk with a question. Have you ever wanted to become an astronaut? Or have you ever dreamed of going to space just like Buzz Aldrin? Because I always wanted to do this. When I was a kid, I always dreamed of becoming an astronaut one day, but I grew too tall and I couldn't fit into a spacesuit. So that's why I became a designer. My name is Arek. I'm a senior product designer at ISI. And this is a European European space company. I will talk a little about it because I need to give you some context. I really enjoy working there, but it wasn't so smooth in the beginning. Honestly, I got a really weird question during my interview back in 2022. They asked me if I mind to work on an app that only 10 people use. Well, I know that some designers would say that yes, they might, and probably they would discard and never join a company like that. But I was so inspired by the message on the ISI's website back in the day. Help people when they are most in need. And it resonated with me very deeply. I wanted to have a job with real impact, and I wanted to be in a place where my work actually changed the world. Because in my previous workplaces, it wasn't really the thing. When I give this talk during various conferences, because this is not the first time when I give this talk, I usually use an analogy with the amount of time that I would need to travel to a place where I speak. Today I'm speaking from home because this is an online conference, so I will not use it, but just to give you the context of what ISA is doing, we are having those satellites that we use to observe what is happening on the surface of Earth. So far we sent to space 54 satellites. Each of them can take up to 500 images daily, and one orbit time is 90 minutes. Usually when I go to a place for a conference for 3 hours, I double this time. And this is an example of an image that our satellites, one of the satellites can take. So this is the Gdańsk Bay. That's Warsaw. There's a little bit of difference. On the previous slides, the image was kind of green, and this one is more like black and white with some colored, I would say, elements, and that's because of it's a special mode for SAR. For those who don't know what SAR stands for, it's synthetic aperture radar. So it's a bit different from optical images. The main advantage is that we see everything during day or night and regardless of the weather, so we see through clouds. And those little colorful pieces that you see on the image are man-made objects. And yeah, one could ask, what are the use cases for the images that a SAR satellite can take? And there are very different ones. You can monitor oil spills on the ocean or dark ships. You can watch political borders. You can monitor construction sites. You can watch illegal deforestation or monitor sea ice from glaciers. And that was the original goal of the company's creators, and some of you probably figured out the name of the company and the origin of the name, ICE. And it's still in the company's DNA. ICE is partnering with WWF Finland to protect blue corridors, which are the whales' migration routes in the Arctic region. But we don't only invent, build, and send to space and operate this large constellation of satellites. Of course, we don't send them just by ourselves. We have to use partners like SpaceX. And by the way, how much do you think costs to send something to space? Let's say 100 kilos. You can type on chat. Oh, sorry, 500,000 euros. $600,000. Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good guess on the chat from Peter. It's pretty cheap. I think you probably expected bigger numbers, but thanks to SpaceX and their reusable rockets, it's relatively cheap. All right, back to the main topic. Our company is around 800 people. It's mainly engineers building spacecrafts, it's software engineers, it's scientists, people from marketing, sales team, HR, everything. We have almost everything in-house. This, of course, are not real faces of our employees, but I just grayed out some of them to highlight that just around 150 people form the solutions line of business, and I'm also a part of this bigger organization. I'm also a part of a smaller team, which is just 8 people. It's 5 full-stack engineers, 1 QA engineer, 1 product manager, and 1 designer, which would be me. And on the course of the last couple of years, we have built a platform that helps our internal team of analysts perform near real-time analysis of natural disasters, such as, for example, floods. If you don't know, flood is the most common type of a natural catastrophe, and it's a very dangerous one. These are the numbers from a report from 2020, and 19% of the population is directly exposed to a risk of a flood, of 1 in 100 year of flood, which means that there's 1% chance that the flood may happen. And that's a statement why we do what we do, because climate changes are too far developed and they can't be reversed. And what you can do is just mitigate risk better and give people tools for more accurate and faster response. So that's what we do. And some numbers just from 2024. Almost 50 million people were affected just by floods. Over $42 billion in economic loss and almost 6,000 casualties. Sorry. This is an example of a flood event that we have analyzed last year. That's Storm Boris. It wasn't just southwestern Poland. It was also Austria, Czech Republic, Germany, Hungary, Moldova, Romania, and Slovakia. And it generated more than 2 billion euros in economic loss. Here's another one from the US, Hurricane Helene. A very bad one, very nasty one. Generated $78 billion in economic loss and caused 252 fatalities. So as you can see, when the flood is combined with wind, it can be very bad. Probably for people living in Europe, we will never experience that. If you're curious how to map a flood, here's a little tutorial. So the first thing that you should do, and the first thing that we do up to 7 days before a flood might happen, is we look at the weather forecast. So we have a team of we have a team of meteorologists that look at the weather 24/7, and if they see that a huge storm is coming, they would send satellites to a place where a flood might happen in a couple of days. Once it happens, we search for flood evidence in our data that we collect using our satellites. That's in the morning of, let's say, day 1. And during the day, our team used the software that we have built to map the flood. And in less than 24 hours, they deliver the map of the flood to our customers and partners. And those files tell where is the water and how deep is the water and which buildings are damaged. I'm sorry, but isn't UX the theme of this conference? Yes, of course. So if you think of how does it feel when people encounter a good UX design, they're probably smiling. They don't have to think, and they just enjoy using technology or software. There are a few examples of family wallet app, an AMO planning app, and also imagine, or maybe you can recall, opening a box with some Apple equipment like a new MacBook or an iPhone. You just open it and it works. Of course, Apple is not paying me to say that. And on the other side, when a designer wasn't on the team, you might encounter something like that. I couldn't find a better universal example, but yeah, it causes headache and you have to take some pill. But it's not really that bad, because you will just lose your time and maybe some nerves. But imagine this. It's a real story. It happened in 2018. And all the tourists and the residents of Hawaiian Islands received this very frightening emergency alert on their mobile phones. Ballistic missile threat inbound to Hawaii. Seek immediate shelter. This is not a drill. In fact, it was. It was a drill. It was caused by poor design, and it generated a human error. The operator was thinking that he's sending a test message, but he wasn't. That's really the platform that we have built. It's called Oya. It makes sense because that's the name of an African goddess of storms. It's our internal NetCat events analysis platform. It's not just for floods, now it's also for wildfires and hurricanes. And I will not show anything more from it, and there's a reason why. I want to talk a little about the success of a product and how we designers can participate in the success. There are 3 main ingredients of the success. It's vision, strategy, and execution. And for us, when we were building the platform, the vision was quite simple. It might look complicated, but it's simple. So the NetCat analysts at our company will use a single platform, which is essential for the analysis, and it will enable the analysis of natural disasters that have impact on millions of people every year. The next step was to craft a strategy that would support this vision. And these are all the things that we wanted to do. There's a lot of them. There was even more. But mainly we wanted to make a platform that would be centralized. So we needed to eliminate the need of using other platforms or moving the data sources into one platform. We also wanted to reduce the number of questions that our analysts were receiving from other departments during, this crunch time of analysis. Also wanted to increase their satisfaction of work. We wanted to improve transparency of process and so on. And how do you execute on that strategy? For me, when I joined this company and started working on this project 3 years ago, it was entering a totally new domain. I never worked in space or Earth observation domain before. I also wanted to deeply understand the needs of my users, which were the analysts. I wanted to work in a product trio. I wanted to stay close to engineering. I also needed to facilitate the process. I wanted to know what the R&D team is doing, just to be a step ahead. I wanted to understand what's the approach of the commercial team that is selling the final product, and to have an idea what is happening with my changes, I needed to implement some metrics. Space domain can be difficult. I think it is quite difficult, and understanding it well is not enough. As for any other complex domain, such as healthcare or mobility. And I believe the ability to solve these complex problems is a very important skill for any designer, but it's not enough. Only if you facilitate, only if you have empathy, and only if you can collaborate cross-functionally with people from other teams, you can make something that, create something that truly makes sense. So that's how I spent my first 90 days. I was really trying to understand the domain and the user needs. I was doing the expert audits, I was shadowing my users, I was doing different kinds of research, and also I was building relationships with the product team. I was going really deep to understand the needs of my users. So I was even asking them questions about their pain points during offsites or company events and parties. And it really worked. Outside of work, they were more open to share what is not working for them, what they care about, and how can we make this work for them. I would like to go back to our equation for a moment and talk about what everyone is saying, the most important piece of information in a case study of a designer. You probably already know what's that and its impact. I was asking myself this question for quite some time. How can you map impact in a product where you can't really connect the revenue to your efforts, to the efforts of your team? Which might happen for people who work on enterprise software or some internal tools. Sometimes we call them back office. And this is something that I learned from Ryan Scott. If you have one metric or an outcome, it can spread further and grow more leaves. And for example, we were measuring the user satisfaction. It was really important to us. We were also collecting um, more data, qualitative data, like the comments from the team. And this impact can transform into the impact on other departments or aspects of business you haven't previously considered, which I will show in a moment. The ops means the operations team, the analysis team. So these are the most important things that we cared about. That the analysis team was reduced, the team needed less time to generate files and deliver them. There were fewer arbitrary decisions made by analysts, which made the process clearer. If you remember from my previous slide about the strategy, that was one of the goals. And it grows further. There were fewer questions for analysts during flood events. They didn't need to switch between tools anymore. And the risk of human error was reduced. And it grows further. We improved some internal metrics like recall. We increased the capacity of the team, which led to enabling team to analyze several floods at the same time. But it's not enough. Our insurance customers trusted our data more, and they were able to adapt our product faster, which led into better allocation of funds for claims. And their customers had money faster. And also they had less stress during the tough time when they lost their houses. But it's not the end. The government customers had quick access to data, which they could share with the response teams, which leads to more accurate distribution of aid during the floods. And for citizens, it means that people have chance to get help in these difficult, life-threatening situations. Some media use our data to cover big natural catastrophes like this California fires that happened in the beginning of this year, or this Texas flooding in July. Politicians are also using the data. They are being briefed with our data to make decisions during tough times, like, for example, this tropical cyclone Jasper in 2023. And that was the last slide, really. Thanks for watching this. I really invite you to join a free newsletter that I co-run with my friend. There's more than 2,000 of readers so far. If you have any questions, please drop them on chat and I will try to answer them. We still have 7 minutes. Marco says, I want to work for you. That's great. Please watch the careers page on our website. Currently, we are not really having any open position in the design department, but we have a lot of open roles in other departments. Question: do you have design guilds to connect designers working in silos? Well, we have. You mean in the space as a whole or in our company? Because in our company there are other designers who, in our company. There are other designers in other lines of business, and we also have a few designers, a few great designers in the marketing team, and we cooperate with these guys. We used to have a global team of design at some point, but we decided to split for some reasons that I can't really share. I don't really know. I wouldn't say that people in our company work in silos, because even if we don't collaborate on a design kind of level, they always have their product teams where they, I believe, feel like home. Does your platform allow to perform GIS analysis not only for flats but also? Yes, exactly. When I was joining, that was only the flats, because that was the most mature products. But now we also have wildfires, earthquakes, not yet, but wind for sure. Wind is tricky because in different regions of the world, it has a different name. So it can be a tropical cyclone, it can be hurricane. Cool. Any other question? What's the level of UX awareness in the company? Was it a challenge to get the company to understand the kind of feedback your work has? That's a good question. I don't really know what's the level of UX awareness. Maybe you're referring to the UX maturity. The awareness, I would say, is quite good. We never really measured the UX maturity, but there was a struggle to show the real value of this team to the stakeholders, and we are still in the process of doing that, because the ultimate team for me and my small team that I lead is really to drive the innovation, not just to develop the products that we already have, but do something more.
Excellent. I think I think all the questions are finished. Thank you, Arek. I personally really enjoyed it due to my previous experience working at Skyfi in the space industry too. So it took me back down memory lane. But thank you, Arek. It was really, really cool to see all these images as well, and also hear from your experiences in your company. So thank you. And thank you,
Thanks,
everyone,
Alan.
for joining.
Thank you. That was a pleasure. All right.